Hey guys, welcome back. Ashley D. Will here, author, teacher, life coach. I hope everyone is doing well and welcome to all the new subscribers. So today we're going to look at when people don't like God's message or messages. What is going on in them when people don't like God's message or messages, and what should you do if you are led to give a message by the Lord? What should you do and how should you think of it? All right, so when people don't like God's message, let's first remember that the messages that God gives to deliver to his people are often unwanted and rejected, and a lot of times the people, so-called believers, will reject the message, reject the messenger, attack the messenger, try to kill the messenger. Okay, this is throughout the scriptures. Let's remember some of these people that we have a lot in common with. We may have a lot in common with. Moses delivered a message and it was rejected, right? What about Isaiah and Jeremiah? They definitely had trouble when they delivered a message. What about Jesus Christ? He was crucified. He was killed because of the message that he gave from God. And Paul was thrown in jail and went through many hardships because of the message that God told him to give. So just know, if the Lord is leading you to give a message to a person, to a group, to a congregation, to a company, you are in good company. You are in good company, because all of these and more biblical characters who were real people have experienced a lot of trouble when the Lord told them to give a message. So you're not alone. Remember that. You're in good company. But what about the people? When you're giving a message to people, you're sending it out there for people to hear. The Lord is telling you to do this, and you know without a doubt that he is. And so you do it. When they reject it, when they poo-poo it, when they do whatever they do, what's going on? Well, what's going on is they are walking and living in carnality. Carnality is living your life according to your five senses, like an animal. You're only paying attention to what you see and hear and feel and what you want selfishly. That is carnality. So people that reject God's message are carnal. They are in the flesh. If they have experienced salvation in the new birth, they haven't grown much in the faith because they are walking in the flesh. They definitely have their own agenda. How do I know that? And how can we know for sure that that's the case? Because if you have your own agenda, you will definitely reject God's agenda. See, if you don't have your own agenda, you'll be open to God's agenda. So that's a huge red flag when people reject the message. That lets you know they have their own agenda, and an own agenda is coming from another spirit that they are submitted to. It is not the Holy Spirit. It's a very high likelihood it's Jezebel or some other familiar spirit that they maybe grew up with, but they're worshiping other gods with their own agenda. Many times they're hiding sin. In other words, they're hiding something evil in their lives or evil in their hearts. There is evil and sin there, and they're not wanting it to be exposed. So they're rejecting the light that's coming in because they're walking around in the darkness. We mentioned before, with someone's own agenda, they are already bowing to other gods, and that's how you can know that for sure, when they have their own agenda. Someone who would reject the message of the Lord is unsurrendered. They have not waved the white flag and said, I'm done living my own life. I'm done with my own ways. I'm going to surrender to you, Lord, because you're God and I'm not. That has never happened, and if it has, they've gone back to the way they were before. They are not currently submitted to the Lord. If they have surrendered, they're not currently submitted. They can be influenced by other people, and the enemy will do this often. When a word is given, he will cause people who are over here to start speaking about it, and those words go and put a spell over many people, and it poisons their hearts, it blinds their eyes. And so when you hear a word from the Lord, don't listen to anybody else. You just listen to the message from the Lord, and you say, Lord, what do you have to say to me in this message? Don't listen to all the blah, blah, blah of all the other people. It's irrelevant. It's a way that the enemy gets in there and manipulates the crowds and the masses. Okay? When people reject God's messages, they are definitely deceived because they don't have ears to hear. That means you're deceived. Okay? In Revelation, Jesus says, do you have ears to hear my message? Who has ears to hear? This is my message. If you have ears to hear, you'll hear it. If you don't have ears to hear, that means spiritual ears, then you won't hear it. And a lot of times that designates the sheep and the goats. The sheep have ears to hear, the goats don't. People who don't receive God's message have their own agenda, and they're often self-enthroned. My life is all about me, what I think, and everyone is here to just think I'm great, and I have to put on this performance so everyone will think I'm so wonderful, and look at me, I'm just so cute, and don't you just love me and all the things I've done? Let me list all the things I've done so you can think I'm so great. See, all of that it's deception, because this person has fallen under the spell of Satan and has made themselves grandiose. And that is narcissism. So beware of that. It's very common, especially today. When someone doesn't like God's message or rejects God's message, they are definitely aligned at some level in some way with the world system. All the demonic spirits that are in charge of the world system, they have aligned with one or more of those spirits. For example, Jezebel, bowing to other gods with your own agenda. See, that's a demonic way of severing you from the Lord and moving you over into another camp, or getting you to be ineffective for the kingdom or lose your faith, or all of those type of things. Someone who does not like God's message is not aligned with God's word and with his spirit. They are clueless. Okay? When you do not want to hear God's message, this means you do not have spiritual ears to hear the message, because you're walking in the flesh, in carnality. You don't have spiritual eyes to see what God might be telling you. And you don't have a heart to receive the message. Your heart is closed. Your heart has a spell over it of some kind of deception or something. There is the veil of the law maybe over your heart. It can be many things. All right? So this is where people are when they don't want to hear the message that God is delivering. Again, it's very common if you're someone like me who is anointed to deliver God's messages. Remember that you are not alone. You are in very good company. Now let's talk briefly about what should you do when this monkey business is going on and everybody's just showing who they really are, and you are just listening and following the Lord, delivering a message that he told you to deliver. What could help you stay stable and stay aligned with the Lord? Well, some things that would help you to stay aligned with the Lord are to remember that your job is to receive from the Lord. Your job is to receive. So you want to stay positioned in your heart, in your mind, in your life, with your time management and everything else, in your focus. Stay positioned to keep receiving from the Lord. Remember how I said that when something is given, a word from the Lord, people will start blabbing their mouths to cause confusion, and the enemy initiates this to cause confusion and block the others from really receiving it. Well, the same thing can happen with you. When you deliver the message, if you start listening, oh, do the people like it or not? Let me hear what they have to say. That can trip you up because you're making an idol out of the people and what they think. It's really none of your business. Again, your business is to receive from the Lord. The way you do that is you humble yourself and you ask for ears to hear, eyes to see, and a heart to receive, and then you don't make an idol about what the people think or what the people said. That is not your business. That's God's business. That's between them and the Lord. It has nothing to do with you. So you don't even need to enter in or find out any of that. You can if you want, but it is a tool of the enemy to destabilize you. It can be a lot of times. So depending on how mature you are in the faith, the more mature you are, the less that's going to matter to you. Okay? So just FYI on that. You're going to continue, as you're receiving from him, to obey his instructions. You have to do what he tells you. See, it doesn't matter what any blah, blah, blah person says or thinks or does. It literally does not matter. Why? Because on the last day, you are going to be standing buck naked before the Lord, with no fig leaves, with no excuses and pointing to other people, nothing. Just you and him. And did you listen and follow him? Did you obey him? That's the only issue. So you want to eliminate everything in your life that is distracting you from obeying and following him, and anything that is pulling you in to deception or getting you focused on something that's not important. All right? So if you love me, you will obey me. This is not a big burden to carry. It is a step-by-step process where you learn to listen and obey. And I've done some videos on obeying the Lord. I think there's 3 of them. If you love me, you will obey me. And there's 2 after that, little examples of obedience. So you can watch that if you want to. But obedience comes not from performance, but it comes from knowing him in your heart. And when you know him, especially intimately in your heart, how can you not love him? And when you love him, how can you not obey him? It's a rhetorical question. So if you don't know him very well, you may not understand that. But you can imagine that your spouse, when you got married, or if anyone you've ever loved or been in love with, you can understand that when you really know that person, you want to be near them. You want to cooperate with them, right? Like when a Christian husband is loving his wife. She wants to cooperate. It's a no-brainer. So that's what that's about. And then you're going to want to continue receiving, obeying, and that means delivering the Lord's messages. They're his messages, remember. They're not your messages. You're just the mouthpiece and the energy source that he's using to deliver the message. Remember, it's the Lord's message. It's not yours. You got to have that boundary there. And so when people get upset with you, they are using misplaced anger or misplaced judgment or whatever, because they can't see that it's the Lord's message. It's not your message. It's the Lord's message. See? So, and then after you're going to keep delivering his messages, you're going to walk in his peace. How can you have peace? Because it's not your own peace. It's his peace. And because it's his peace, it's always there. And when you're receiving and obeying and doing what he's telling you to do, he's going to give you his peace. He's already left it with us in the Gospels, he tells us. So it's your job to receive it and abide in it and rest in it. And when you obey the Lord and walk closely with him, you will always have God's peace. It will always be there. Okay, another thing you can do with the issue of people not liking the message that you've given is, let me grab my hula hoop here, is stay in your hula hoop and let the people be childish. Let the people be immature. Let the people have a flesh fest. Let the people be carnal. Let them do all these things because that's who they are and that's what they do. Okay, you are going to stay in your hula hoop and let all of these people be foolish and stubborn and stiff-necked and stupid and all the things they're going to do. Just let them. It doesn't matter. You're not doing that. You're not approving of that. But they can do whatever they want, and that's between them and the Lord. You're doing what you want, and that is obeying the Lord and staying in your hula hoop. Okay, so let them be unhappy, that's fine. Let them be unstable. Let them go bow and worship every other demon god in the universe. Let them be ungodly. It's not your business. See, it's not your business. So you don't have to worry about that. Keep your boundaries. Remember that it is not your business. Here's the Lord up here, and here are you down here. He's giving you a message. You're going to stay in your hula hoop and give the message. And all these other people out here, they can do whatever they want because they all have their own or not relationship with the Lord. And what they do, and all of this is between them and the Lord. Don't let the enemy get you sucked into all this, because it will dilute your effectiveness and it will pull you into this dark vortex of this demonic activity that is everywhere. You have to be set apart and stay set apart to be able to keep receiving and obeying and delivering his messages and to walk in the peace of God. Okay, and I've already mentioned to stay in your hula hoop. Your hula hoop is your sacred space. It's where you belong. It's where God has appointed you to live, to move, to have your being, and to do the will of God is in your hula hoop. Your hula hoop is a wonderful place. So learn to stay in it. Stay in the yoke with the Lord. Keep listening and following him. And let that be your focus and your satisfaction and your fulfillment and your peace, because that is what you will get and what is available for you to abide in when you're doing the will of God. Okay, so we've looked at when people don't like God's message, all about them, and it's pretty ugly. That's fine. There are a lot of people like that, and they're in churches. And then what you do. And we've also mentioned that we are in very good company when people don't like messages, because the world and Jesus Christ are enemies. So when people are in the world and connected to the world and part of the world, they're going to hate the message that the Lord gives, even if they call themselves believers. A lot of believers think they're believers, but they're not, because they don't believe. If you look at the fruit in their lives, the fruit is goat fruit. It's not sheep fruit. Okay, so that's not your business. You focus on the Lord and do his will and keep doing that no matter what. So that's my encouragement for you today, is to give God's messages if you have a prophetic gifting, and don't worry about anything else, because he's the only one that you're going to answer to. So keep that in mind. All right, so you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.